Good afternoon. This is the Agent for Change Network, and I'm your host, Rob Bell. And we attack or deal with the issue of change in our community when we talk about things that are of concern to the show. The Agent for Change Network was a show that was developed by myself and my brother Scott Bell, and it was developed in an effort to provide information to the black community. And our mission is to promote upward mobility and come up with strategies to help members of our community move forward and combat the social ills that we are facing on a daily basis in the black community. And so, by providing this information, it is our hope that people take it in and start to figure out how we can come together collectively and start to make some changes in our community. Certainly, there are a lot of things that we have to deal with regards to housing and economics and infrastructure and community. But of late, the most prevalent issue has been violence. And that's something that I personally have been on a campaign against. And it's not something that I just came up with, it's something that I've done pretty much for the last 15, 16 years. I started my company in 2005, and as a part of the company, I wanted to give back to the community and see what we could do. When I say we, it's myself and my wife, what we could do to try to be a part of any positive change. And so I moved down here to Atlanta about almost 5 years ago now, and I still want to carry that torch down here because violence is violence no matter where you go. And it seems that violence is just getting out of hand down here in Atlanta, just as it is up in Philadelphia. And as you know, anybody who knows me, they know that I'm from Philadelphia, and obviously the violence in Philadelphia is outrageous. So we talk about that on some of the shows, but of late I've been dealing with the violence that is occurring down here in Atlanta because this is where I am. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing our guest, and I've been bringing a guest on the show almost every week. And he's a brother that I talk to almost on a daily basis, at least when he's working. And he is, like myself, a brother of law enforcement. He's been in the game for a while. We connected, I guess, about a couple of months ago, and right away we are like-minded and kindred spirit, and we've had some fabulous conversations. He's familiar with Philadelphia, and obviously we kind of hit it off. And so I thought it would be a great idea to bring this brother on and get his insight on what's happening with the flavor of violence in our community today. Kay, you there?
I am. I am. Peace
Okay.
to you, brother. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. If you could, first of all, let me welcome you to the show and say
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for taking some time out your busy schedule to sit and chat with us, man. Everybody's busy, but you know, anytime a brother can take some time out of his busy schedule shows me that he is concerned about what he can do to try to make some changes in our community. So once again, I appreciate you for that, brother.
Right,
Uh,
right on.
so if you can just take a minute to tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can move forward.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, peace and love to you in return, bruh, for showing love like this. We need as many platforms as we can, showing love, showing thought-provoking information, any way that we can grow, because we know the forces out here are against us. But
Absolutely.
nevertheless, my name is Kamau Kenyelu. I've been in law enforcement for well over 30 years. Prior to that, I served in the military. And amidst all this, I've been into coaching. I believe in, into civic stuff. I believe in us raising us. We have to look out for ourselves. And man, the beautiful part about being in the law enforcement community, whether whether you want to look at it like that or not, but we get to see all forms of life. We get to see the rich, we get to see the poor, we get to see the
Absolutely.
smart, the not so smart, and actually how the system works.
Yes.
I I've been one guy. I've never seen an NYPD Blue. I've never seen a Chicago Hope.
Right.
I've never seen any of those hospital shows, the police shows. Now, I did see The Wire. The Wire was pretty good and pretty accurate.
Right.
But but when it comes to all of those other shows, I don't see, for one, I don't see anyone that looks like me.
Mm-hmm.
The hero always looks like somebody else. Now, I may fit the stereotype
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the hustler image, coming out of prison, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But again, when it comes to commercials, when it comes to anything where we are giving gratitude, you won't see guys that look like you and me.
Yeah. And that's part of the problem, Kate. That's part of the
And
problem.
I'm sorry to cut you, but just being in this profession, there are a lot of us
Yes.
that have made this country what it is.
Yes. So, and that's a great kind of intro to some of my next questions. Uh, I too, and this, have been in law enforcement for several years, and what gives us the advantage as brothers, man, is that not only are we black men living in America, so obviously we come from families that are about, being black families, and then being in the profession, we get on the other side of the fence and see all of the good and the bad that people bring to our community. So, having said that, it makes us well-rounded brothers, well-rounded people, man.
Indeed.
And so based on all of that, man, can you kind of give us your thought on why a lot of these violent issues, especially with our young people, are occurring not only here in Atlanta but throughout the country?
Okay. Well, I will say this, Rob. In my honest opinion, viewing this stuff, and the older you get, the more you can see the bigger picture. I think this has been going on the whole time. When we talk about programming, that's exactly what it is. If we're talking about radio, if we're talking about music, same thing, television, movies, it's all programming. And if you will, I challenge all of your listeners, turn on the news and let's watch what the top story will be every day this week, every month, every decade. It's the same thing. They always start off with us being the problem.
Right.
All right. And also, the music allows that. They push. And check this out, Rob. I don't want to be all over the place. However, I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's about accountability now. We can't blame anyone else but us.
No doubt.
All right. But when I wake up in the morning and everything I see about me is negativity, every day of my life, that's going to seep in there. And not only that, economics. Sometimes it's a means of survival. Now, we're not saying that for everybody, but sometimes you got to do wrong to do right.
Right.
All right. But when you get to a certain point, you have to be able to start looking out for other folks or trying to legitimize your stuff like every other ethnic group has done coming to this country.
Right.
For some reason, we still stuck trying to get to first base.
Mm-hmm.
And we know systemically, we know there's a hand in that, but also we have to hold ourselves accountable. And being that you were talking about, we get to see things from an interesting dynamic. So with every shooting that takes place, the news is quick to put that on there. We're not gonna look behind it before we put it out there. We're just gonna show all these shootings.
Right.
And they want to make it a point, for one, that we're violent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it went down the way it went down or not, is for some reason it's always us involved.
Right.
You mean to tell me there are no brown on brown shootings? There are no white on white shootings? It's always somebody black involved. So what's the programming here?
Right.
What are we trying to allude to? And I'm the first one to tell you, yes, we have issues.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a lot of issues we have to work out. But let's not kid ourselves. And the main thing is, let's keep that hope about us.
Yeah.
Because once you become hopeless, it's a wrap. That's why we do the things that we do. That's why we'll go to the club and shoot each other for no reason.
Right. right,
for no reason. We eyeballing each other. Next thing you know, shots are ringing.
right. And it's
And
crazy,
that's
Kay, that you say that, man. I'm gonna go back on something you said a few seconds ago in terms of how the news, to the degree, exploits us, man, as black people,
absolutely.
and really tries to inculcate that whole image of negativity in our brains. I used to work on a program in Philadelphia called the Hospitality Training Program, for which I trained a young people coming out of the foster care program in a program for 8 to 10 weeks to teach them how to get their serve safe certifications, and
Hmm.
after that, place them into employment situations in hotel and restaurant. And so I had a
Hmm.
graduation ceremony for them every 10 weeks, and I would always invite the news media to our restaurant. And our kids would sit there with their chef hats on and their white coats, and I would give out their diplomas, and I would give out their certifications of achievement. And not one newspaper, not one radio
Oh,
station, not one television station would bring a camera down there to promote that. And one of the
yeah.
speeches that I would always say when I was up at the podium was this: if one of my kids would jump up right now and start shooting or stabbing somebody, you'd
Yes,
have
sir.
every media
Yes.
outlet in this region at this restaurant. And that's a
Oh,
sad commentary, brother, because you know what it says is what you said earlier. They only want to portray us in a negative light and give the outside forces a vision of us being hyper violent people. Therefore, we don't count, and we don't.
absolutely. And we fall for that though
Yeah, and we
sometimes. We
fall for it.
fall for that violence. So listen to the lyrics. And look, I love rap. I was there since the beginning. And not hip hop, just to clarify with other folks. If you're really into this stuff, rap is a form of music. Hip hop
Absolutely
is a culture.
right.
But anyway, when it comes to the rap music, all of a sudden when NWA came, it's gotten no disrespect to them, but it's been degrading. We've been talking about women selling dope in our own community. That
Yes,
has been a proliferation. I don't know how many ways you can rhyme about it, but we continuously, over the last 30 years, have rhymed about the same stuff. However, there are a lot of brothers out here where we can talk about upliftment. They're not going to put that on the radio.
absolutely
You
not.
won't see those videos. You're not going to see any of that. And to piggyback what you were talking about with that program, so when I was a detective and you would get a rapport, so I would get a rapport with some of these reporters. So I would ask them, I would say, hey man, look, we know somebody's always getting shot on the west side. And we know there's some good stories out here. Why y'all always show these kind of stories and nothing else?
Right.
You know what the reply was? Hey
Let's.
man, you know what it is. That's what I was told.
Yeah.
So case in point, when the editors want you, when that senior editor wants you to go out here and get this story that continues their agenda, that's exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
All the while, all the stuff that you're saying too, look how many positive things go on in our communities or in other people's communities that we do, but it will not see the light of day.
Yeah, because it doesn't sell newspapers. It's not sensationalized. It's at the end of the day about economics, and unfortunately, we are not about the whole economic part of putting into America what we need to put into America. So let me ask you this question, Kay.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
what do you think the responsibility of local, state, and federal government is when it comes to trying to help us with squashing or ratcheting down some of this violence? We're never going to stop it, but there certainly should be some programs out there, some dollars out there to assist programs that are trying to attack it. What do you think their responsibilities are?
Man, you know what? In an ideal world, that would be wonderful. And what I would say is this: guys that look like you and me, hopefully they will have a more sense of care and genuinely try to make things change. However, my opinion is when it comes to government from top to bottom, it has never been about us.
Right.
So we have to take care of ourselves as much as we can, and we have to hold each other accountable. We just can't say the police is always messing on us, and I live in a rough neighborhood, so I got to do this to survive. No, you don't. There's other things you could do, and I don't want to get preachy about it, but at the end of the day, all we have is us. If
That's
other
right.
people want to help out, that's great.
Yeah.
We cannot rely on local, federal, state government for anything because, after all, look at the last 100 years and look what it's gotten us.
Right. I always say,
And
man, that nobody's
go
going
ahead.
to come into our community on this big white horse with a lance and save us. You know, I wrote a book called 9/11, How to
Yes, sir.
Stop the Bleeding in the Black Community, and basically what the book was about was what you're talking about right now. We have to be responsible for taking care of ourselves, and in a lot of cases, man, we're our own worst enemy. And you know,
Mm.
as long as we sit back and we've become and I don't know where this has come from. We've become a lazy people, and we are
Yeah.
now sitting back and being satisfied by an outside entity taking care of us instead of taking the bull by the horns and taking care of ourselves. We certainly have enough economic power in our community. We
Oh, yeah.
certainly had enough. We certainly have enough wherewithal in our communities. It ain't just brothers like you and me out here, man. It's hundreds of us out here talking
Man,
what we're talking right
it's
now.
so many. And that's the frustrating part.
Yeah,
Look, I
yeah,
know more brothers like you and me versus the stereotypes that you're going to see on TV. And to me, that's where we have to steer ourselves. Now, if you're talking about accountability, we have to do this on different levels.
right,
Look, we can no longer be happy seeing, no disrespect to anybody, but those coons that are on the screen or on the radio.
right,
If you're saying something that's not good for us, we don't have time for that. Now, I'm not saying we need to kumbaya on everything.
right, right,
But
right,
what I am saying is, look, some of this nonsense is ridiculous. Some of this violence is a result of our own folks talking this stuff. We throw the N word around like it ain't nothing.
right.
Don't nobody say crack or nothing or any other ethnicity. But the N word, we can use that all day. And look, I get it. It's been around for well over 100 years, and it is a term of endearment. But damn, is that the best we can do? Is that the only term that we can
It's
use?
crazy.
Is there anything that we can do just to build ourselves where we feel better?
Right,
And not just say, King, hey, what's up, King? And then you turn around and shoot me in my back.
right,
Or you
right.
turn around and, and we just have to build, man. And I think accountability, once you understand, ain't nobody else coming.
Right. You
And I'm
know,
and I'm not saying, and Rob, if you will, I'm not saying be a Malcolm Farrakhan or anybody else.
right.
I'm just saying do something
Yeah,
because everyone can do something, but no one can do everything.
that's right. And you know, it's funny you say that, man, because it's because when you and I first met, you know, we both work downtown, and our offices are pretty much right next door to each other.
Right.
And you know, just as black men, we just say, "Hey, brother, what's happening? Hey, brother, what's happening?" And that's how we
Yes.
developed this relationship, man. We just start talking to each other and found out that we are like-minded in terms of our thought process and where we are in terms of our community and how we want to move forward. And I got to tell you, man, it's a lot of brothers out here like that. But like you said, you know, we get pushed to the side because we are not entertaining enough. We are not cool enough. We are not the
Yeah.
guys that's kind of out there like that. And so, you know, we're looked at as being the nerds and the corny guys. And so, you know, nobody really pays attention to us. And so as a result, you know, we getting the twerking and the women walking around with their breasts out, and we're getting
Yeah.
the hustlers out there with all these big rim cars, and those are the guys and the girls that are getting all the attention, and that's not doing anything for the uplift and the improvement in our community. Man, I come to work every day, and when I ride down McDonough Boulevard, man, it is so much
Mhm.
trash down that street. And I'm saying to
Yep.
myself, when I come home from work, you guys are sitting down there under a tent and not even moving. You mean to tell me you can't get a broom and a rake and cut this grass and rake this stuff up? I don't care if you live in the projects or not. You still don't have to live in filth, you know?
Oh,
And that's the
yeah,
attitude
man.
that
Yeah,
people
bro.
have, man.
Well, yo, something like that, brother. You were talking about some things that have been going on for decades, bro, within the black community.
Yeah,
With trash and all that kind of stuff. And while you're on that, can we please say to our people, just because you do live in poverty, that doesn't mean you have to be nasty.
That's right.
You know, we can clean that stuff up. But and also in what you were saying though, when we talk on the street, the beautiful thing to me, and I will disagree with you where you say nobody's paying attention to us. We're the responsible ones. And yes, they are paying attention because they want to break that up as much as possible. Look how many times you and I talk out there, and look, other brothers that's into yoga,
Right.
that's into poetry. And
Right.
we'll have a group of us out
Right.
there talking.
Right.
Those are the things that you'll never see on TV, but that's very common within our communities. You see brothers working. And that's the one thing. The one thing about real life is it may be boring because you're handling your responsibilities.
That's exactly right.
Now, when you that dude that's reckless, oh yeah, you're gonna have an adventurous lifestyle.
Yeah.
Always getting into stuff, getting locked up, getting shot at,
Right.
getting beat up, getting your cars keyed, and all that other stuff. But a responsible man, look, we are gonna be consistent on how we get down.
That's exactly
And
right.
we got to be willing to embrace that. It ain't all about this social media and what you see on TV, and that's where we really have to break. Look how many times, or look at all the cats that you've worked with in policing that have never pulled their gun.
Right.
They've never shot anyone.
Right. Me for one. Yeah.
That's very common.
Yeah.
That's
Me for
very
one.
common. And man, unfortunately, I've been in a few shootings.
Yeah.
And what do they do on TV? Hey, you whip out your gun one time, pow, and you shot this dude dead in between his eyes.
Yeah.
And that's what the media thinks. The community thinks they didn't have to shoot him 14 times.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? His adrenaline is still pumping and he is still moving.
Yep.
It's not like you get shot one time and you fall down.
That's right.
That is so far from the truth. But when you watch movie after movie your whole life, you think those things.
Yeah.
You think the police are so accurate that they could shoot your eyebrow off.
Right.
You're
Right.
happy to hit the target.
Right. It's not like
These
that.
are the things. These are the things that they portray on television so much. Look how all of your top leading actors, they're going there and wipe out 8 dudes in one room,
Right.
and they may not even get one shot.
Not one bullet in it, right? It's crazy.
Yes, but that's the entertainment. But subconsciously, people begin to believe that stuff.
Yeah.
Just like subconsciously, you never see us in any roles of inspiration.
Right.
It's only a role of servitude or some kind of negativity.
That's right.
And subconsciously, year after year, decade after decade, hey, this is all they can do.
Yeah. And you begin to
You know?
internalize that, man, and that's how you start to give that back based on what you are being fed. So listen, man, we coming up against the time. Give me your, in your humble opinion, what are some of the things, or maybe one thing that you think could be done to try to help us move forward in our community?
Oh man, thank you. First and foremost, man, in closing, thank you for allowing me on here. And that is so complex, man. But just a few things is, I think initially the main thing that we as a people need to understand is there are 3 things that are very important that we must have. That's going to be health, wealth, and knowledge of self.
Absolutely.
If we can understand those things, we don't need to be defined by anyone else. We'll look out for each other. We will respect one another more. We will love one another more, as opposed to some of the things that take place.
Right.
That take place.
Right.
And also, this isn't just a movement for the young. There are a lot of people that are our age and older trying to get themselves together, or they are They are relearning.
Yeah.
Look how many of us learned or was told, or let's say indoctrinated
Right.
with Christopher Columbus.
Right.
All right. And please, the difference between indoctrination and education, indoctrination is you had to say Christopher Columbus to pass that test.
That's right.
To move on to the next grade.
Right.
Education says, how did this dude discover it? And there were already people here.
Right.
So
That's a
the
great
thing, man.
analogy,
A lot
bro.
of this stuff we have been indoctrinated, and it's really hard for us to change that thought pattern. But if we can, look, again, it's not just for the young, it's for us to change things. And in closing, man, like I told you, I'm a talker, bro. But
Yeah.
in closing, we just got to continue to work together and keep the faith. It's like
Yes.
religion.
Yes.
You can't see it, but you know it's there. So it's better than what we think it is
Yeah.
because the media is driving the other side of it.
Great. AK, man, you know, I've been itching to get you on the show, and I'm glad I had an opportunity to do it. More importantly, I'm glad you accepted, because based on the conversations you and I have almost on a daily basis, I knew you would bring a lot of wisdom to what we talk about, and hopefully we can spread it across to the folks in our community. So, man, it's been an absolute
Always.
pleasure. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you in the days to come, man. So thank you for coming on the show, sir.
Hey, thank you. And also, just in closing to the listeners, we got Black Love, Us versus Them, 911, Hands Up, Don't Shoot, When Black Meets Blue, Philadelphia, and 420. And I think you have another one.
Yeah.
But please, if we're talking about health, wealth, and knowledge of self, please support Rob Bell, whether you read the books or not.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate
us
that.
empowering ourselves. Thank you.
I'm gonna tell the audience the brother read all them off because he bought all those books from me, and I appreciate the support, man, and I appreciate the endorsement. Hey, man, I look forward to seeing you sometime next week.
Indeed. Take care and be well.
Okay, you too, brother.
Call ended.
That was my good friend KC, who I have the occasion to speak with when I'm downtown Atlanta. His office is right next to mine, and usually when he steps out on his breaks and I'm coming in from mine, we talk, we powwow. And the brother has obviously some great insight on what is going on out here in the world. Obviously, we connect because we're law enforcement brothers, and we often talk about that. But more importantly, we talk about what we can do as black men to try to enhance and bring our community up to where it needs to be. You have been listening to the Agents for Change Network. I'm Rob Bell. I am the Agent for Change. Don't forget that when you watch this video on YouTube, you subscribe to the page, you like the page, and when you see it on Facebook, you like the page, and more importantly, share it with your friends and family, because it's about disseminating and getting the information out to the people in our community, because that's what this is all about. I got some new and some exciting things coming up in the future. And so if you could just hold on and continue to support a brother, then we'll see what goes on here. Thank you for your patronage. And again, I have several books that are out there in case you just read them all off. I'm not going to do it again. But if you go to Amazon and type in my name, or if you go into YouTube and type in Agents for Change Network, you can see all the videos that we produced, and you can get an opportunity to check us out. All right. Again, this is Rob Bell. I'm the Agent for Change. Have a good evening.